Salam everyone and welcome back to SomaliDispatch.com. Today marks the first day of Ramadan around the world, and some Muslims will be fasting for the first time ever. Others with health and wellness questions will be asking themselves how to go about it. For those and other frequently asked questions, we have invited Dr. Omar Schindel, a family physician in Saskatchewan, Canada, to participate in this discussion.
So welcome to Somali Dispatch, Dr. Omar Schindel, and thanks for your time and accepting to come on and help out with all of those that are starting their fasting tomorrow. And let's give them some ideas on health and what they should be looking for. And if you can start us off by giving a general advice to those who are fasting this year.
بسم الله جزاك الله خير أخي عبد القادر بارك الله فيك. I appreciate you inviting me here. This is a great opportunity to kind of connect as a community. So in general for fasting, I think that in terms of the health, there's a lot of health benefits. I mean, the interesting thing is that you have a lot of people now doing intermittent fasting, and they're seeing the benefits in that because obviously you are allowing the body, that natural rest from just constantly eating, which is kind of unfortunately becoming a very cultural and part of being in North America. We graze a lot. We eat just out of habit, out of, emotionally, often, we're sad, we're happy, we're with friends. It's not just when people are sad and have a tub of ice cream that they eat, but rather we eat when we're not hungry. And I asked some of my patients, when you eat, do you ever feel that you're hungry? Like maybe some people, we only feel it when we're in Ramadan. I'm hungry. So, I think kind of letting our body kind of guide us is also important. And I think too, when you're intermittent fasting, you become more aware of what you're eating and how much you're eating. So I think that when it comes to, the fast and those sort of things, we want to always, it's to be moderate, and that's the way that we should go about it. We know that there's a hadith that talks about one third, one third, one third, and they actually says before that it says like just enough to keep your back straight. And I think that we often I think overestimate how much we really need to eat. So in terms of a general fast, advice, I would say that now's the time to hit the reset button. We always want to take an opportunity to kind of look at our diets. Well, this is an opportunity. Often when we have people have problems with their stomach, we try like slowly to exclude certain things, exclude the dairy, exclude this, and then introduce it slowly and find out where the problem is. But this can be a way to really introduce the right diet that we can maybe talk about. What are some things you want to, introduce, and make sure that you can kind of find what works for you. And at the same time, you're able to kind of keep that moderation.
Right, and especially during a pandemic, it's a very good timing to reset everything and take advantage of Ramadan and do that. Can you give us examples of those who shouldn't fast from physician's point of view, or those that should be careful when they're fasting?
Yeah, so that's, for sure, we should always say that this is just kind of a general advice, and that, that everybody should, this is kind of a good plug that it's important that people have family physicians. I am a family physician, but I see that the reason why is because it's important that you have someone who knows your health and knows your particular situation. Because that you may have the same condition. Maybe somebody has diabetes. People don't even maybe know what diabetes is. So, but someone with diabetes A and someone B may have a completely different regimen of medications, and everything in the context of you is you're really good and important to have a family doctor. But so I would say people who, of course, if you're needing to take medications and your family doctor, and it's something that you take throughout the day. So for example, I would say diabetes is a really good example, because of the fact that, diabetes means that you aren't able to regulate the sugars in your body. And so, especially for those who are on, insulin, or who are type 1 diabetics, it can be very dangerous. So It's hard sometimes, but I've met very, good brothers who are able to still make the best of their fast, or of the Ramadan, and not have to necessarily fast um, because of their condition. And it kind of leads into, I'm sure the other guests on your program will explain that it's a lot more than just the fasting from the food and from the drink. And so there's a lot of other ways that we can really engage actually in a more meaningful Ramadan. And so then other people's would be people who, again, maybe they're really old, depending on usually it's there, a lot of their called comorbidities or other conditions that they have that make it difficult. So blood pressure, even if you have high blood pressure and you don't take your medications regularly because you're fasting, that could cause your blood pressure to go up too high. And, God forbid, that could cause, other challenges. High blood pressure is actually really detrimental to the body long term, but even in short term, it can be problematic depending, right? So
Right.
I think sometimes we minimize these things because we don't feel the symptoms, but you can have a lot of problems that can happen. And actually that's the issue with chronic disease. It happens over time, and the damage is done over time. So, the last thing I'll say is that people might use this opportunity. There's a lot of people I know who are always wanting to, get off of, their medications, especially diabetes. Often it's something that, it's that's not the goal. Is to just be off medication. The goal is to be healthy, so you can do more, you can be there with your family, you can enjoy and do more worship, you can do more things in your life. And if it's just a matter of taking a few pills, yeah, you can, that's nothing compared to what I've seen, the complications that when you don't take it. So yeah, so this is just
Right.
something to consider.
Right. So obviously, there are those also that are currently on medications that need to make some adjustments. What are the best practices in making those adjustments and upkeeping your fast, but taking your medications at what sort of conditions does that allow?
So this is a really good question, and I think I will give a general advice again. I don't want to be giving this particular advice unless you're my patient and unless I'm calling you by name, and I wouldn't do it here.
Right.
You just take this with a grain of salt to make sure you follow up with your family doctor. But some medications are taken twice daily, and so there may be an opportunity for your doctor to be able to space out when you take your medication. If some people take them, it's called BID. You'll see it on the pill bottle, BID. That means twice daily. So unless it specifies, or unless your doctor tells you, sometimes you may be able to talk to your doctor and say, hey, like, is there a way that I can shift this a little bit? And alhamdulillah, like, the fast is getting shorter. So it's actually nice for those people who have medications that they need to be taking. And you can talk to your doctor and say, maybe you were going to try to wean off of them, or to slowly get yourself to a lesser dose. Maybe this is the time to do that. But again, always make sure you're doing it with your doctor. And yeah, sometimes people like to just do it on their own. And medications are meant to be taken regularly unless they tell you as needed. If it doesn't say that, you have to take it all the time. It's not just when you feel like it. So
Right.
that's a misunderstanding. We don't explain these things because we don't have the bottles when we meet you. So it's a good thing to just to kind of refresh.
Yeah, and I've seen some of my doctors, when I see them, especially specialists, they ask me to bring the medications. Don't just tell me what it is that you're taking.
Yes.
So you've covered it in the beginning, but Ramadan, one of the blessings of it is that you get to reassess your eating habits, your lifestyles, and this presents a great opportunity for people. As someone who is a big proponent of healthy lifestyles, how could one utilize this period in their life to make those changes?
That's a great thing. We're creatures of habit, as they say. And sometimes habits we're not even aware of because we don't really do them intentionally. So we have a lot of bad habits. So this is a great opportunity to try to start something. The studies say that when you are disciplined in one aspect of your life, it's a lot easier to do in many other aspects. And so the big thing I would say is physical fitness is a huge thing. And that is I say that one of the things that people should really consider is to really go to and visit a physiotherapist. Now people think physiotherapist, they think, I'm not injured, I don't need to go to a physiotherapist. Well, you go to a doctor and you're not always sick. The idea is you go and upkeep your health. So we need to think about it in a way that, okay, Ramadan is there not as a means. It's meant there to be, it's sorry, not as an end. It's a means to get better. So you go to see your family doctor to get better. What can you do? You go to your physiotherapist to say, okay, I'm in North America. Most likely we're all out of shape or and overweight or both. So I don't want to just go to the gym and do CrossFit and get hurt and then not be able to do stuff. So physiotherapists can give you basic stuff, and one of the biggest things is like correcting your posture, and how that can really change the way it prevent injuries actually. So I think that if you can do that, that may not be. It's probably 50 to 100 bucks. How much halwa or asariya we can just skip for this time, or whatever you would have said. The anjero, you just
Right.
save the money and put it in towards, honestly, just doing this and getting an assessment and seeing where you're at, and then especially if you can do it in this first week, then you can implement some activity in the evening. Now activity, people think high carb, low carb, no carb, Atkins, all these sorts of things. The idea is it's balance and it's amount. So you want, and in quality, so you want the right quantity, so not too much. You want the right quality. So that's why Somalia is so rich, because we have 100% organic, and you see the food. So if you can find that good quality, those are really important things too. But when you're working out, you do need some carbs. So if you're doing a low carb, you still need carbs to have that, give your body that energy to do the exercise. And you need a little bit of protein to be able to build the muscle if you want to do that. But I recommend, even if you just start with body weight workouts. So learn on YouTube how to do some push-ups and get someone maybe who knows a bit how to do them, and do squats without any weights. You can do jumping jacks. And there's a lot of different videos. You can literally start, I sometimes do it after each salah, but that's during the fast. But if you do it in the evening, if you're just beginning, just do body weights. Don't do any weight. And then you get a little bit of cardio, and you get a little bit of muscle toning. And then you just work that into your schedule, and then it becomes a habit.
Right. I appreciate that, Dr. Omar. We don't often talk to our doctors enough, be they Somalian in the community or otherwise. And this is a great opportunity, to have you here and explain all of these things. As a Somali who lives in North America and in Canada specifically, where physical activity is not, it's maybe limited to 3 months of the year, given there are other alternatives. During this period, what would you tell those who are on a regular regimen of exercise, and those that need maybe, to be told how important that aspect of life is?
I guess, yeah, like that's a great point. I think perspective is an important thing. I'm anecdotally kind of saying this. I think that, naturally Somalis are very thin people. We're not really, so our build, is, so I think that can be deceiving. We can think, just because you're thin doesn't mean you're healthy. So, number one, if you are, you're not overweight, or, you have a lot of energy. I think the thing is always, incorporating, knowing that, this should be a regular part of what you do. Now, in terms of the Hoyos or the mums, it's tough for them. They're at home, they're with the children, and they're cooking, and they're trying not to waste the food and all this sort of stuff. The biggest thing is, as parents, though, I think that we really want to pass on the best things. Like, we go to Duqsi Quran every weekend, right? We, it's, Akri, Gal Qurqada study, Akhri, Quran, everything, right? But we should also realize that a lot of what we do really teaches our children as well. So we want to build these habits of eating well, and realizing and doing exercise, with them. And you can do that in the house when they're little. That's the best time to start, is to build these habits, less screen time. They actually say that, you should, my daughter is 11, but when we first started, when she was first little, they said no one under the age of 2 should see a screen. No, like 1 should see a screen ever, like ever.
Wow.
And then it moved to 2, like the Pediatric Association. Now it's 3. And I mean, I'll be honest, my first one, I was like hardcore, right? I didn't get no Netflix. It was none of this stuff. And my daughter loves reading. So she's like, would rather read than watch anything. The younger ones, not so much. It's easier said than done. So I'm not trying to be like a saint here, but these habits have a lot more problems than we realize for our overall health, because screen time is related to a lot of things for children. And when children get habits early on, it has a lot of problems. So I think for people living here, we have to realize it's not back home. It's not when they're running around sweating, and people are scared to even let their kids out. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so it's becoming more and more and more closed in. And maybe there's reason for that. Maybe there are weirdos and crazy people out there. But we as a community need to come more reason for us to kind of put the silly differences aside and find a way to get these communities together so we can have these exercise, at the very least, some sort of activities on a regular basis, and embrace the fact that embrace the buttoff. We have to embrace the buttoff. We're here, learn to skate, learn to ski, do something, because
Right.
like 6 months.
Right. No, I greatly appreciate your time. I see you're on the clock and working on helping people out. We appreciate it. Hopefully we can talk more as need be. And again, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing these advices with our viewers. Thank you very much, Dr. Omar Schindel. Great to talk to you and see you again.
Jazakallah khair, brother Abdul Qadir. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much. Khair Allah.